5 failures of Elon Musk and how he overcame them. Engineering is the closest thing to magic in this world. Elon Musk. But even magic has its limits and failures. Contrary to what you might believe, failure is not the antithesis to success, but rather a part of it. Without failure, there'd be no measure of success, and today we'll talk about 5 such failures of the business magnate Elon Musk. And more importantly, how he overcame them to become what he is today. In the past few years, Elon Musk has made headlines almost constantly, thanks to the groundbreaking inventions of SpaceX and record-breaking sales of Tesla EVs. But how often do you see or hear about the failures of the tech giant? We're not pointing these out to be nasty. Failures give us a valuable insight into completely knowing a person. And this is what we plan to achieve. Hello and welcome back to our channel. 3 failed marriages, complicated finances that bordered on being broken and being fired are just some of the failures that litter like discarded pieces of paper crumpled up in a ball along the path to success. Stick with us as we make a comprehensive list of some of the failures that Elon Musk has faced in his life. But before we begin, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, smash the notification bell so you'll be notified when we release new content. With that out of the way, let's proceed to our interesting topic. Here are some of the failures of the world's richest man. Number 1. Job rejection. In 1995, when Elon was about 24 years of age, he applied to various tech companies for a job. You probably can't imagine the billionaire sending in a resume and waiting to hear from the recruiter, but these are his humble beginnings. And in a fictional tale of the hero facing defeat, Elon was rejected for the job. The company was Netscape that had only been founded in 1994. So a startup company rejected Elon Musk. Looking in hindsight, the whole situation is comical since Elon now successfully runs his own startups in SpaceX and Tesla. The newest addition is Neuralink. We're sure Netscape is now regretting those days, but Elon is not looking back. A net worth that jumped by $30 billion in one day, making him the world's richest man in 2021, it's no surprise that Elon doesn't have time to remember those days. Overcoming this challenge, the rejection, while it may have spurred the best of us, it didn't stop Elon at all. In the wake of the rejection, Elon started working on an online version of searchable business directly. Essentially a phone book, but online. An idea that was revolutionary for 1995. It was called Zip2. Being fired from your own company might seem like the end of the world, but for this man, that was just the starting of what was to come. Let's find out. Number 2. Zip2 Failure. As fate would have in a cruel joke, what was meant to be a project to bounce back turned into one of the biggest failures for the billionaire. Zip2, an online directory of phone numbers, started in 1995 and only lasted for about 4 years on its own. The company's mission, as stated by Musk himself, was, quote, everyone should have access to the closest pizza parlor location and how to get there. A concept quite reminiscent of Google Maps, but Elon came up with the idea back in 1995. Unfortunately for him, Google wasn't a thing until 2004. If he'd pitched his idea to Google then, things might have gone in a completely different direction. But things didn't go as smoothly for Zip2 and the employees, which were Musk himself, his brother Kimball, and a friend Gregory, had to live on company premises to cut down on costs. That's probably the broken version of an entrepreneur. But things were about to get direr. Unable to find investors, they were bordering on bankruptcy when boon arrived in the form of much-needed funding. In 1996, more Davidoff Ventures invested $3 million. The downside, Zip2 had to fork over the majority of their ownership to them. And as such, Musk was replaced by a more experienced businessman as Zip2's head. So Elon did not only lose ownership of his own company, but was also replaced as the CEO of his own creation. That's extremely disheartening. Overcoming this challenge, Elon tried very hard to keep Zip2 afloat, even approaching his father for much-needed investment, but even then, Zip2 was circling the drain before retribution was finally delivered. In 1999, a year after a failed acquisition attempt, Zip2 was acquired by Compaq. And with that, Elon Musk netted $22 million. Number 3. Explosive failures of SpaceX. SpaceX has had a tumultuous road to success. With everyone swearing up and down that SpaceX was going to fail, it took the work of 16 months for SpaceX to prove everyone wrong. The first successful attempt impressed and floored the skeptics, and now SpaceX is a leader in the industry of space travel. But the progress has been slow, and skeptics never put down their doubts regarding SpaceX and their claims to land human on Mars by 2030. Back in 2001, Elon approached the Russians to sell him rockets to send mice or plants to Mars. He was turned down not once, but 2 times. and hence SpaceX came to be. But success was slow to come, and in 2006, the first rocket launch by SpaceX exploded. Indeed, that was the first in a series of explosive failures. In the following year, SpaceX attempted yet another launch, but they failed again. The next year was no good, and the third attempt went up in flames too. And this time, SpaceX didn't just tank their money, but also NASA's. The rocket that exploded in the third attempt carried NASA's satellites aboard. Everything was reduced to char. While that was by no means the end of SpaceX's failures, successes soon followed. Overcoming this failure, while the failures were disheartening, SpaceX had a vision and they refused to quit. Designs were constantly modified, and the company learned immensely from its mistakes. Thanks to that grit, they now hold a number of successful products under their belts, with powerful engines like Raptors and reusable rockets like Falcon 1 and 9. Before we head into the penultimate failure in our list, be sure to leave us a like so we can continue bringing more content. Number 4. Failures at Tesla. Before SpaceX, Tesla was the love of Elon's life, and it had gone through his shares of lows. In 2008, the popular American television show Top Gear blasted Elon's Roadster. They claimed the car was, quote, a barely running science experiment, and Elon later agreed, citing the car as a disaster. But fast forward 10 years and the Roadster is now the quickest car in the world. But that success is painted on a series of failures. In 2009 and 2010, Tesla recalled about 300 models of the Roadster due to safety issues. Their troubles were far from over. In 2021, a whopping amount of 500,000 EVs were recalled, 475,000 to be exact. That recall dipped Tesla's shares by a landslide of 13%. Troubles were brewing internally too, with shocking news about a saboteur on Tesla's payroll, allegedly selling Tesla's sensitive data to unknown third parties. Tesla is a privately owned company, and they haven't even been applied for a patent because that would include disclosing information about the technology, so you can see why that would be a big issue. Before that, both SpaceX and Tesla were on the brink of bankruptcy. That came as a precursor to the long 18-month waiting list for their Model X of EVs. Tesla's failures were so severe that it reduced Musk and Tesla's staff to put in immense hours of work with virtually no pay and sleeping on the factory floor. Overcoming. It only takes one flame of light and the darkness is no more. Tesla has managed to nurse that kindling into a full-blown fire. With loyal staff and intelligent people, Elon has managed to make Tesla what it is today, one of the most profitable companies in the world. That saboteur incident has also empowered the staff into being more vigilant and reinforced their loyalty to the company. Tesla broke all records in the fourth quarter of 2021 by delivering a record number of 911,000 vehicles. Failures are an unpleasant truth of life, and they're more often shape a person than successes do. A person's mettle is tested during hardships. Why is it so? You'll find out in his next failure. Number 5. Solarcity fiasco. In 2016, Musk came under fire for purchasing Solarcity, a solar energy corporation that deals in selling and installing solar cells. Solarcity is a company founded by Musk's cousins, and they weren't doing so hot when Musk decided to acquire the company. Many investors called it a bailout and pulled support from Tesla. To make matters worse, news reports that followed the announcement stated that Musk bought the company for $2.6 billion, while Solarcity's net worth is way below the limit. By all means, it did look a bit shady. Investing so much in a dying company and the fact that the founders were Musk's cousins hurt both parties' reputations. Overcoming this hurdle. Musk has since then defended this acquisition against the shareholders and has made it into an ultra-successful Tesla Energy. And since acquiring Solarcity, they have two big flagship products in the field of solar energy, essentially reducing competition and making it into success and more money for Tesla. Needless to say, the shareholders were pleased and the feud became a thing of the past. And that brings us to the end of the list. Discussing past failures is the key to measuring success, and Elon Musk has managed to outmaneuver all of the hurdles to bag the title of the world's richest man. From humble origins of job rejection to heading several successful ventures, Elon Musk has had quite an exciting career so far. And he's not retiring anytime soon. For more content from us, click the titles that you see on your screens, and be sure to subscribe to be the first to be notified of our newest uploads.